Hey everybody, Taz from Critical Thinking Anarchist here, and um, I wanted to kind of react to a couple different reactions here. So you got Hasan, what's his name? Hasan Piker. Um, he decided to stick his foot straight in his mouth, head up his butt, whatever you want to call it, and he said that streaming for 9 hours is more exhausting than a regular job. Now, as everybody will say in these, if he had said streaming is exhausting, streaming for 9 hours is exhausting, nobody would have had a problem. Whatever. Um, I've heard about Hasan Piker a few times from comments he's made, things he's done. Apparently, he is a self-proclaimed communist. He is the nephew of one of the guys from the Young Turks. He is a millionaire who maybe has worked a quote-unquote real job once in his life. I will tell you, I've worked 25 years of customer service. I've worked a number of jobs. I've worked retail. I've worked guest service at places. I've worked in offices. I've worked overnights. I've worked weekends. I've worked literally everything. I used to work for the post office. I worked for, there's a very good chance that if it's out there, I've done it in some form. And I can say, I'm not a streamer. My YouTube channel is not monetized, at least as of this recording. Maybe in the future that will happen. God, it would be great if we ever get to that. Right now, what do I have? I have, I don't know, my channel. What do I have? I have 169 subscribers. Thank you for the awesome people who have subscribed. I don't have the watch time nor the subscribers to monetize my channel. And again, God willing, maybe that will happen in the future. But as of right now, I do not. And so with my family, there is no point for me to do that. But anyway, that's just kind of prefaced, kind of my own qualifications here. I've worked a lot of jobs. Most of my jobs have not been that difficult. Most retail jobs have not been that difficult. Guest service jobs have not been that difficult. Quite honestly, the hardest one that I worked was I was an assistant department manager in Menards during COVID. And that was by far the hardest job I've ever had to work. I've been remarkably lucky in the jobs that I have had, with the people that I've worked with most of the bosses that I've had. A lot of the jobs that I've left have just been because I'm sick of it. Menards is definitely the hardest because of the position I held, the knowledge that I had to accumulate in a very short time. And then, of course, being there during COVID as I'm accumulating this knowledge made it very difficult. Aside from that, most of the jobs I've had have been easy. Most of my experience comes from working at Spencer Gifts and working at a casino. And I could not be, those are easy jobs. And, even at the hardest times, those are still very easy jobs. Exhausting. And I'll kind of get into that a little bit later. So that's to say, I haven't done too many physical jobs where I'm out there. My dad was a construction worker. I worked with him a couple times when I was very young. All the respect in the world to the tradespeople, because again, my dad was a tradesman. A couple of my uncles were tradesmen, for electricians or plumbing or whatever else. All the respect in the world to them, because they do things, especially like road crews, working in the worst of Mother Nature can provide. So that's to say, I have an idea. My wife is a veteran. A lot of my friends, a lot of my coworkers have been veterans, have veterans. Depending on. So again, real jobs here. That's to say, that's kind of to put my qualifications. Like I've worked some real jobs. I've worked some. Most of it's been crap. Most of it's just crap because of the times you're working, the times you don't get off. So that's where all that comes from. Streaming, from everybody I've ever seen, the hardest part about streaming is the commitment to the time. Again, it's the, it's basically just the time frame of it. 9 hours is exhausting. 9 hours of anything is exhausting. I get that, and nobody would have a problem with that. So anyway, we'll go to it here. We'll start off with DDayCobra, Jeremy's reaction to Asmongold's reaction to to Hasan Piker. So here we go. We'll listen to this first.
We gotta talk about this. Millionaire streamer Hasan Piker claims that a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you in the same way that streaming will.
So I'm gonna say this. No, it does not. I will say the one job that absolutely did suck the soul out of me was when I worked for the casino. And that's just what you see. The things you see, you see people giving up literally their last dollar. You see people getting into drugs and alcohol and prostitution, and there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is hope that they tip you. So again, all my other jobs haven't been soul sucking. That one was literally soul sucking because you watched their lives go down, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And the funny thing about this is that this kid goes and he says this to try to fucking throw up a white flag. He's like, no, I'm actually on your side. I agree with them. Bro, quit the fucking capping. That's actually pretty funny. It's the internet, man. Quit getting mad over the internet.
Right?
It's the internet. This kid is lying. You're lying. What do you mean you agree with this tweet when you preface it by saying millionaire streamer? You really think that we don't you think I haven't spent the last 20 years seeing Fox News do this shit? Seeing CNN do this shit?
We don't watch Fox and CNN. Most of us have stopped watching mainstream news, man.
What a little rat. I can't believe this. It's like this guy.
Jeremy's reaction. Right?
Can we please talk about the multi-millionaire streamer Hasan Piker? And this is the clip that's taken apparently out of context.
All right, so here's the clip.
Okay.
Yes, a real job can be gruesome. A real job can make you very tired, but a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you. You know what I mean? In the same way that 9 hours of
it literally does. It literally does suck the soul out of you, and it does not reward you the same way that something like this does. At least for people that are actually, have a following and things like that. A real job does not. It not only does it suck the life out of you, it sucks the life out of you in no comparable way.
And I'm going to jump on Jeremy on this one too. No, not really. Most jobs don't suck the life out of you. Most jobs are not that bad. They seem bad. And especially when you're a kid, especially when you're, just starting out in the workforce, 18, 19, and that's the people we're kind of talking about here, the 18 to 25 year olds, the demographic that everybody chases. So yeah, almost every job feels like it sucks. Once you start getting into multiple different jobs, you kind of start realizing which ones are not that bad.
Streaming online, it's literally night and day. There is no way to compare the two because there is no comparison. A real job is 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. You can't even do that. But then you have these
Jeez, Jeremy.
What I'm saying is what I went through. If he reacts to this part, I'm just going to fast forward through it because I want to hear what Asmongold has. What actually was said. Okay, here we go.
No. Social battery-wise, unless you're in
Matt, we're going to remember this in your performance review. You fat fuck. Stupid ass bitch.
Ever again.
So people getting mad. It's a bad take. What's it a bad take of?
It's a bad take because if you have to ask what's it a bad take of, you clearly don't get what it's a bad take of.
Says that he gets exhausted socially because he's talking to people for 9 hours a day.
He's not talking to anybody. He's online.
You really think that's not true?
Yeah, really think that's not true. Try being in a room full of people. My first couple of years of working retail were at the I worked Spencer's at the height of mall retail. During pre 9/11. So that was when things were going amazing. The economy was great. My first year working there, and I kid you not, most of the days from October through December, because that was the big time in the malls, especially in Spencer's, you had a line that literally went out the door, went in one side, through all the way to the back, all the way up to the cash register. You're sitting there going, we only had 2 registers. We had me at one, another person at another one, and the third person in the middle, like helping bag and stuff like that. The other sales associates in the store almost couldn't move from wherever they were. So it was really cool, but really amazingly weird. You had people that basically come in, pick up whatever they wanted to buy, and just shuffle through the line and then leave. That was it. Like, there was no browsing for anything. You just, well, I'm stuck here in this line. I guess I'll just see what I want to get, as I move along. Again, working at a casino, thousands of people there on, at any given time. And you're trying to talk to all of them. You try to talk to people, customers, guests, whatever you want to call them, during concerts, when things are incredibly loud. You're trying to talk to them during celebrations, while they're drunk, while other people are drunk, while people are smoking, not smoking, high, whatever, you name it. So, try doing that for a day. Literally having hundreds of people around you. That's not the same as streaming.
Who's forcing him to be live for 9 hours a day?
Exactly.
He's a multimillionaire. He has millions of followers, and he's one of the biggest streamers on the platform, or on any platform. Who's forcing him to be live for 9 hours? No one. He's the person. And he's doing it for 9 hours because it's fucking easy. Because no one's forcing him to do it. If it were hard, he wouldn't be actively doing it for 9 hours.
Right.
When he controls how long he does it, constantly trying to disagree with you and fight with you. That's not socially draining. This is totally understandable.
I thought I had liked that already.
And he's not comparing it to every other job. He's saying compared to other jobs where you're not talking to people.
No, he's comparing it to a real job, quote unquote. That was his words. Real job.
Posted 30 minutes after he said that, instantly on Reddit, it blew up calling him a dumb.
Yeah, I'm done. Done with that one. So, all right, we're going to go to the next part here. I believe I queued it up to the right area. So this is Eric July and Dan Vasc talking about it. Now, Eric had a much better take on it than Jeremy, in my opinion. So we'll kind of go here.
It will take you, I tell you from experience that I know Ripa knows this, it will take you hard work. It will take you.
Oh yeah, sorry, this is a little bit late. This is like afterwards saying, hey, guys like me, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
Big deal, right? And that could be very, very, very exhausting. I think we see that a lot more often. Yeah. I look at what I do right now as a blessing.
So Eric's thing is, he's saying, people put on a facade. They don't really like what they do.
Exhausting when you're doing that day after day after day after day. So really, the core problem here is, there is some naivety there. They don't seem to understand other jobs, for sure. Has Hasan
ever worked a day in his life, like an actual, like maybe 9 to 5. I have no idea.
Right.
I know he's
Right.
trust fund baby apparently, but I'm not really sure. However, and so I will say that yes, he can be ditzy on this topic. But the reason why he is saying what he's doing is soul sucking is because number one, he doesn't enjoy doing it, and I think that's because you have to be someone it is that you're not. I think this is something that we see with a lot of different creatives. Why they have to take long extended breaks, not because they're doing work or because it's holidays or something, they got to dedicate time to something else. No, it's because their mental capacity or mental health is in a terrible spot.
Right. They're playing a character. They're putting on a front. If you've ever worked in retail, you know exactly what he's talking about. You're not playing yourself. You're playing the retail version of yourself. The food service version of yourself.
Right? And that can be very, very, very exhausting. I think we see that a lot more often. I look at what I do right now as a blessing.
Yep.
I am in a position to create, do what it is that I enjoy doing. I don't have to hit like some sort of off switch to be a different person. I don't have to be someone else in order to be a creative.
And this is kind of where they say, find what you love, turn it into a job, and you'll never work a day in your life type of thing. That's kind of what he's doing.
Yeah, man. If he had said like, oh, streaming 9 hours can be sort of tiring sometimes.
Yeah, I see that.
No big deal.
Yeah, even if he said streaming 9 hours in front of people is socially exhausting. He said it was soul sucking more though than a regular job.
The thing that really came out wrong is the dismissiveness that came with it. The dismissiveness to the audience because his audience works 9 to 5
Right.
jobs, and they are there in a time that they could be spending with their families,
Right.
with their hobbies,
Right.
and just winding up from that 9 to 5. They chose to spend that time with him.
Yep.
So he's talking shit about those people.
Yep.
Like, what you do is not as hard as what I do. So that obviously is going to get people triggered. It's going to get people upset, of course. And it shows a lack of gratitude and taking it for granted, taking the blessed position that you have, that you're in, for granted. If you just had said, "Oh man, I feel exhausted," it's kind of tiring, especially for someone who's introverted. I don't know if he is introverted, but the other guy,
Asmongold,
yeah, that was an argument that he used.
Right.
For introverted people, it can be harder to stream, which I agree with.
Right.
I see that. I prefer to stream in other people's channels, like be a guest on your stream with my friend Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers.
Dan name checking everybody.
I prefer that because me hosting a stream by myself, I feel kind of overwhelming, and that's why I don't do it often.
Yeah.
Because it's like having to keep that facade, having to keep wearing that mask, will certainly make me bitter.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Make me like be an asshole to be around, and the audience is not stupid. The audience can smell bullshit miles.
Exactly.
And they would detect immediately if I was not being genuine, if I was not being myself. So.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's the whole big thing about that is Hasan, I don't know why he said what he said. I don't know. I mean, granted, I don't watch Hasan. I barely am aware of his existence. And again, I'm not a streamer. So I can't even really go that much on that portion of it either. But, you know, the hard part about doing anything on YouTube, the hard part about doing it, you know, and I don't get paid. Again, I don't get paid by YouTube. The hard part about doing it, and the biggest reason why I'm not monetized on here is because it requires time, and I have a family. You know, I have a job, so those things make it tough for me to, you know, like you said, like Dan said, you know, where do you want to spend your time? And for the longest time, I spent it watching people. I spent it being a consumer. Now I'm kind of trying to do all three, you know, work, or all four, I guess. Work, spend time with my family, be a consumer while also being a creator. So being a creator is the hardest part because that's the part that takes the most time, that takes the most involvement, that, you know, I can't slough my responsibilities for my job, and I can't slough my responsibilities for my family. So I gotta really balance this very well. But anyway, that's where it is. I don't know if it was just an offhand stupid statement. Again, the biggest part was this sucks your soul more than a regular job. If it sucks your soul that much, then you shouldn't be doing it. If it sucks your soul that much, why are you doing this? If he's a millionaire, why is he doing it? Why is he trying to entertain people when he hates entertaining people? Why are you doing something you hate? You don't need the money. You could be doing other things. You definitely don't need to be streaming 9 hours. Nobody sits there for 9 hours watching what. I hope to God nobody does this, sitting there for 9 hours watching a single person. Most people I know come and go. You're like, oh, I'll just sit there and watch for a half hour. Okay, they're doing this, and then leave, and then they're doing this. Okay, and it's time here and there. Sometimes streamers, especially gaming streamers, you just kind of get caught up in it. It's not that you intend to stream for that long, but you get caught up in the game. Being a kid, I'm an original Atari gamer. And then when the NES came out, man, I spent so much time on that, and then even more on the Super Nintendo, and and that was pretty much where I learned how to stop spending time on video games. But that was the biggest point. So anyway, you guys let me know what you think. I will be back later this week with the next part of Alpha Core. But if you like the video, give it a like, give it a share, give it a subscribe, leave a comment below, and we will talk to you next time. Bye, everyone.